Is BTS breaking apart in more ways than one? Why would Calvin Klein, a brand known for making bold, headline-making decisions, allegedly choose only Jungkook for their latest Asia-focused campaign, completely leaving Jin out of the picture? The question isn't just why, but what does it mean for the future of BTS, for ARMYs, and for the billion-dollar machine that is K-pop itself? When Jungkook stepped out in Tokyo this week wearing a sleek, black custom hat with the exact coordinates of Calvin Klein's new flagship store embroidered in sharp white thread, the internet erupted. The streets of Shibuya, a global fashion hotspot now pulsing with the luxury retail traffic, saw the idol gleaming under flashbulbs. His signature look, a blend of streetwear nonchalance and razor-sharp branding, sent fashion media into overdrive. But while Calvin Klein's expansion in Asia is certainly newsworthy, it was who wasn't there that started a wildfire. Jin. Jin, the eldest BTS member who once fronted luxury skincare and beauty campaigns and whose military service has been a touchpoint of national pride, was nowhere to be seen, physically or even in mentions. Not a photo, not a name drop, not a whisper in the official release. Could this truly be a simple scheduling conflict, or was it something more calculated? The rumor mill, already hypersensitive since BTS announced their temporary solo ventures in 2022, spun into overdrive. Some fans speculated this was just a natural evolution. Jungkook after all, has been associated with Calvin Klein before. His toned physique, edgy tattoos, and soldiery charisma align perfectly with the brand's rebranded image. Raw, real, modern. But others weren't so convinced. ARMYs flooded social media, demanding answers. Why is Calvin Klein focusing solely on Jungkook in the midst of what should be a comeback era for the entire group? Why would a global powerhouse choose to align with just one member and not capitalize on the full force of BTS? Some fans pointed to Jin's current enlistment status, still in the military until 2025, but that didn't quiet the suspicions, especially not when older promotional campaigns have seen brands using archival or pre-recorded materials to include enlisted idols in marketing. The omission here felt deliberate. More telling was Calvin Klein's silence. The brand, usually swift with clarifying statements, has said nothing about whether Jungkook's recent appearance marks a full-fledged ambassador role or a one-time collaboration. That silence, amplified by their visual campaign where Jungkook shots dominated digital billboards and magazine covers without any mention of other BTS members, has become deafening. Meanwhile, Jin's name started trending, ironically not because of an appearance, but because of his absence. Fans unearthed old interviews, past endorsements, and clips of Jin discussing fashion and his desire to evolve beyond the worldwide handsome persona. Suddenly, it wasn't just a PR mystery, it was emotional. Some fans felt betrayed, not by Jungkook, who remains widely beloved, but by the machinery of fashion marketing that they feel may be capitalizing on internal transitions within BTS. Could this be the first visible crack in what has always seemed like an unbreakable brotherhood? And is the fashion industry exploiting this moment? As Tokyo becomes Calvin Klein's latest empire of influence, industry insiders whisper that the brand's move is not just commercial, but strategic. With Asia seeing a 15% rise in luxury retail in 2025 alone, the stakes are sky high. Calvin Klein isn't simply opening a store, it's planting a flag in the heart of youth culture. Who better to carry that flag than Jungkook, the member who has become a walking billboard for Gen Z and Alpha? But where does that leave Jin? While some fans interpret this as a natural marketing choice, Jin is in the military, of course he's not involved, others detect a quiet distancing, a possible reshaping of narratives. One viral thread asked, what happens when BTS stops being a group and starts being a brand of individuals? That question hit a nerve. In Seoul, discussions about the future of idol groups and brand identity are never more urgent. As K-pop enters its next evolution, labels and luxury giants alike are investing more in solo branding than group cohesion. Some see this as empowerment, letting artists like Jungkook flourish on their own. Others see it as fragmentation. But perhaps the most gut-wrenching moment came when fans stumbled upon a fan letter-style post reportedly written by Jin before his enlistment, in which he expressed hope that no matter what paths we walk, our steps always echo together. The post wasn't new, but in the context of recent events, it felt prophetic. Even more curious, Jin's fan community reported that a Calvin Klein PR box had been spotted at HYBE headquarters last year, with Jin's name linked to early discussions about a campaign. That box, according to now-deleted posts, was redirected. What changed? Neither Calvin Klein nor HYBE has addressed these rumors, and perhaps that's part of the plan. The ambiguity fuels the fire, keeps clicks coming, and ensures that whether people love it or hate it, they're talking. SEO spikes show keywords like Jungkook Calvin Klein, Jin Calvin Klein snub, and BTS brand feud rising by over 400% in the last 72 hours alone. The controversy isn't just chatter, it's currency. Meanwhile, Jungkook has stayed characteristically silent, speaking only through visuals. His Instagram feed remains curated and quiet, his posts from the Tokyo event stylishly void of context, like a runway ghost story. Jin, by contrast, hasn't posted since late spring, his last message being a hopeful note about BTS's future reunion. And that might be the most haunting part. In a time when silence often speaks louder than press releases, fans are left to read between the threads, stitch their own theories, and brace for what's next. Is this a new chapter, or the beginning of a rebranding no one wanted to admit was coming? So, what does it mean when one member rises in fashion and another fades into mystery? Is it timing? Is it tactics? Or is it something deeper? Something about fame, legacy, and the unrelenting machine of global stardom? The cameras are still flashing in Tokyo, the Calvin Klein billboards still shining over Shibuya's neon skyline, but in the shadows, a question lingers. What happened to Jin? And is Jungkook ready to walk this runway alone? The silence has become louder than ever. With every hour that passes without a statement from Calvin Klein or HYBE, the questions pile up, unresolved and humming just beneath the surface of every trending hashtag. Fans aren't merely curious anymore, they're demanding. They want to know if Jungkook's glowing spotlight is just a career move, or if it's casting a long shadow over someone they've come to love as much as, if not more than, any other member, Jin. When Jin enlisted for military service, the fandom rallied behind him, sending letters, holding tribute events, and wearing custom merchandise in his honor. He wasn't just another member gone for a while. He was a symbol of loyalty, the face of the group's maturity, the first to step up and serve. So when the glitz of Tokyo began to flash and Calvin Klein released its new campaign teasers, featuring Jungkook in high-contrast intimate close-ups wearing nothing but denim and attitude, some fans felt pride, others admiration, but a subtle, stinging question flickered into their hearts. Where is Jin? That absence would have been easy to overlook, if not for the very calculated nature of fashion. Brands like Calvin Klein do not make moves by accident. They test campaigns, they monitor engagement, they know who brings attention, who sells, who breaks the algorithm. And when a brand as massive as Calvin Klein chooses to align itself with Jungkook, launching its biggest Asian flagship in a city as symbolically powerful as Tokyo, it's not just a photo shoot, it's a cultural declaration. And it's a declaration that, to some, reads, "This is the face of the new BTS." If you listen closely to the fan spaces, Discord servers, Reddit threads, late-night live streams, you'll hear it, the tension, the theory that Calvin Klein's decision was not just about who's available, but who they want to make available. Jin, who once posed elegantly in campaign shoots for beauty and luxury, seems too classic, too calm, too understated for a brand that's rebranding itself around boldness and rebellion. Jungkook, on the other hand, walks that line between boyish charm and tattooed edge with dangerous ease. He fits their aesthetic almost too perfectly. But is that aesthetic now in direct contrast with what Jin represents? The fashion world has always preyed on change, on narrative, on the spark that comes when you pit elegance against edge. And Calvin Klein, in choosing Jungkook, may have lit that match intentionally. No one wants to admit it, but controversy sells. The idea of one member being chosen while another is left behind sells better than a harmonious campaign with everyone involved. It invites opinion, it invites passion, it invites clicks. The images from Tokyo were undeniably magnetic. Jungkook stood like a monument to modern fashion, effortless, provocative, hauntingly beautiful. Cameras captured every nuance of his look, the subtle textures of recycled denim, the curve of the embroidered Tokyo address, the smirk that seems to say he knows exactly what this moment means. But what's unnerving isn't how good he looked, it's how alone he looked. No group, no shout out to the members, no backstage photos of supportive texts from Jin, no hidden symbols in his outfit that eagle-eyed fans could decode as a tribute to his young. Just Jungkook, alone, in the biggest Calvin Klein campaign the Asian market has seen in a decade. It could be argued, as many try to, that this is growth, that members of BTS pursuing their own individual projects is exactly what they promised when they paused group promotions. But something feels different now. Not because Jungkook is succeeding, he deserves that and more, but because this success feels sharpened by absence, by the glaring vacancy of someone who should have at least been acknowledged. It doesn't help that HYBE has mastered the art of strategic silence. They know when to speak and when to let the fandom spiral. And this time, their silence is letting the narrative build unchecked. They could clarify in a heartbeat that Jin was considered, that he'll be part of a future campaign, that the timing simply didn't work. But they haven't. And every moment they don't, the mystery thickens. Some even speculate this is the beginning of a long game, one where Jungkook becomes the visual and commercial face of BTS, while other members are slowly repositioned in more subdued or behind-the-scenes roles. A restructuring of brand power, influenced as much by Western market trends as by internal company strategy. Jin's fans aren't giving up, though. They've launched hashtag campaigns calling for fairness and transparency. They've revisited older moments of Jin being overlooked or underpromoted and are stitching them together into a timeline that now feels eerily prescient. They argue that while Jungkook is undeniably magnetic, Jin has the charisma of a classic icon, one that Calvin Klein, in its pursuit of boldness, might have overlooked too soon. Yet despite the speculation, despite the theories and trending topics, the person at the heart of this, the one who might hold the answer, is silent. Jin has said nothing. Jungkook has said nothing. Calvin Klein has said nothing. And maybe that's why this story won't die. Because in a world where everything is content, where every interaction is monetized, where silence is often used as a marketing tool, the absence of a name becomes its own headline. The lack of acknowledgement becomes louder than the campaign itself. It turns an ad into an argument, a fashion show into a feud, a solo appearance into a symbol of something larger. Is this the beginning of a new BTS era, where each member stands fully alone, chasing his own legacy? Or is this simply a temporary narrative, shaped by circumstance and clever marketing? Until Jin returns, until someone speaks, we won't know. But the lights in Shibuya will keep flashing. The Calvin Klein signs will keep glowing. And Jungkook, with that quiet intensity only he possesses, will keep walking forward, while fans keep turning back, searching the crowd, wondering when or if Jin will return to the spotlight he helped create.